SFF.
SSF. Okay, hold on. Bradley Kuhn from the SFF. Do you mind being on film?
It depends. What are you filming about?
I'm going to do a documentary on the DMCA.
Okay, I'll be on it, but it's important you make the distinction between free software and open source.
Okay. Oh, well, if I have to work, if you're going to make me work, I don't know.
Well, it's important because the free software movement stands for the idea of software freedom. And it's about ethical and political issues concerning the freedom to copy, share, modify, and redistribute software, which is central to this issue with the DMCA, because people are being prohibited from doing these things. Meanwhile, the open source movement, which supposedly, I guess, opposes the DMCA, I don't know for sure, but they focus only on technological issues and ignore these ethical and political issues. So the relationship between opposition to the DMCA is much closer to what the free software movement is doing than open source.
I see. So you're more of the ethos side of it.
Yeah, we take a firm ethical stance about software freedom, and of course the DMCA makes it impossible for people to do certain things with free software.
Oh yeah, like circumvent encryption?
Yeah, or not even circumvent it on purpose. The people who were working on DECS only wanted to play DVDs with free software. That was their goal. Yet it's prohibited from having the software available under the GPL because of the DMCA.
Right. I understand that. But I think the open source thing comes into play where it's a lot of people who are using Linux, and they're open source, so...
Yeah, well, see, Linux is an interesting issue. Linux is actually a kernel that is part of an operating system. The operating system as a whole is basically the GNU system that was developed by the GNU project since 1984. By 1991, we had basically developed a completely free software operating system. We had not finished our kernel yet. Linux is a kernel that fits in. That's why we call the system GNU/Linux, to note that the system is primarily the GNU system modified to work with Linux as a kernel. But it's interesting because when people call it Linux and talk about it as terms of open source, they tend to neglect the political and philosophical issues involved. And that's very central to what you're talking about concerning the DMCA, because when people just focus on how great the technology is and how it has fewer bugs, they're going to neglect these important political and philosophical issues that are now facing us very centrally with attacks from things like the DMCA.
I see. And so the Free Software Foundation, right?
Yes.
SSF. They're playing a role in maybe, what are they doing?
Well, we're primarily an advocacy organization, so we're doing as much education and advocacy work as we can. We're getting involved with this event because we want people to know that this is a real issue for freedom and the future of freedom in the digital age when everyone has a computer on their desk. If people don't have the freedom to do what they were normally allowed to do before they had a computer on their desk, for example, with a book, they should be able to make copies of it for their own personal use and backup. They should be able to resell it anonymously if they want to. They should be able to give it away anonymously if they want to. And they should be able to put it in different formats to make it easier for them to read. And they should be able to do this with all free software if they want to. So they don't have to give up their software freedom just to access an ebook or something like that. So we're getting involved by talking to people about the issue, by encouraging people to develop free software to read all kinds of formats. We encourage people to write free software to read any format that's available as much as we can, and we encourage people to avoid formats that don't have free software solutions.
Now, do you have any brochures on the DMCA or any kind of...
We currently don't. I think the EFF does. I mean, we work in cooperation with the EFF on various issues. For example, our legal counsel, Evan Moglin, who's a professor of law at Columbia University, also works closely on the various EFF cases. He's worked closely with them on the DECSS case. So we have a number of people who cross over between the two organizations. So we try to raise awareness as much as we can, from our point of view, which is really dealing with software freedom. But these issues of protection on electronic books and all that stuff come up because in the issue of free software, because the question is, will you be able to work with the data that's out there with free software in the future?
Well, thank you very much. It was really good talking to you. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.